Happy New Year's Eve, you guys, and New Year's, yay! Hey, it's me, Vanessa V, and welcome to my channel where we discuss reigning over your life, conquering what's holding you back, and living life in victory each day using simplified strategies that work for you. And yeah, it's New Year's. Well, today is New Year's Eve. So, I have with me some sparkling apple cider, and I made a little tinsel toothpick cocktail stirrer, which really isn't serving much of a purpose at all. And I have a noisemaker that doesn't have noise. Yay! You guys know I usually don't do videos on holiday weeks, but given the fact that it is the end of 2020, I thought it was an extra good idea just to do a segment today because I feel like even though I think a lot of us are really excited about exiting 2020 into 2021, I don't know. I felt like it was a really good idea to help us all start off on the right foot. There's certain things that I do every New Year's Eve and every New Year's Day and leading up to it that help me transition from one year to the next, even though it's really at the end of the day. It's just a day, right? But I think socially and psychologically and everything, it is kind of an important time. And so I just wanted to help us walk through that. That way we could make 2020 even better, or no, 2021 even better than 2020, and help us all find success and happiness and excitement and feel good throughout the entire year and beyond. I definitely use New Year's and New Year's Eve, but just this time of year to sort of hit a reset button and to take stock and to reground myself extra more than what I usually do. I don't know how to say that, but it's definitely sort of a time for me to slow down even more, to take stock, and to reset myself for the upcoming year. And I know that with New Year's resolutions, a lot of times we tend to jump right in without a lot of planning, and that's okay. You do hear that typical structured approach or have a plan ahead of time, and I absolutely agree with that. I think at the same time, a lot of that thinking and focus for planning, and, I'm just gonna set this down because it's kind of distracting me. But I think a lot of that planning and that structured outlook tends to be more external with scheduling, how I'm going to plan this out, how I'm going to plan out my success. And I think a lot of what gets overlooked and not talked about a lot, but is actually, for me at least, the key element is that stress, worry, anxiety, panic, all of that wrapped up into one, and how the brain operates and how it reacts to new things, new situations, new challenges, roadblocks, all of that stuff that resolutions and goals can bring our way. A lot of times we don't focus on that. We think again about the external, but we're not really thinking about the internal. Over time, with being on my journey with PTSD and stress and worry and anxiety and panic and all that stuff, I really did come to realize that management of those things and prevention of those things in a way that not only felt good, but was healthy and truly worked for me was the key element for me to having any success. And again, that's success of whatever that is. If it's putting the dishes away, if it's going out for an audition because I'm an actress, if it's going on a trip and I don't want to freak out on the airplane because I'm having a panic attack, about being in an airplane. Whatever that is to you, I feel personally, and what I've noticed over the years is, again, having that understanding of what's going on inside of me, and also understanding what works for me in not only preventing that brain that we talk about a lot on this channel from sort of taking over and getting in the way to keep us safe, but also for me to just feel successful and enjoyment along the way and at the end of whatever goal I have set. We're actually going to go over that more in depth in an upcoming video segment, so keep your eye out for that. But if you're interested in learning more and you haven't seen a lot of the videos on this channel that have to do with how the brain reacts to triggers and how the brain acts on stress and all that stuff, I'm going to list some of those videos below. That way you can click on those, and hopefully those will help set you up for more success in this brand new year that is 2021, or if you're watching it in the future, whatever year it happens to be. All right. So go ahead and get your crowns on. And let's get started, because I know it's a holiday and no, we don't have people to see and places to go, probably. But either way, it's a holiday and we all want to enjoy it. So let's just get to it. Okay, so the first thing that I tend to do is focus on the fun part. So if you're like me, 2020 has given you a lot of things that perhaps you want to do differently in 2021, or I don't know, it's just given you a lot of ideas for New Year's resolutions. Or if you're just exhausted and tired and you don't want to have to think anymore, that's fine too. You can always have resolutions and goals throughout the year, and that's the great thing, is that, in my opinion, every moment is a new start. It's a brand new, fresh start. We can always hit that reset button. So no matter what time of year you're watching this, or what time of year you decide to have a New Year's resolution or just goals in general, that's great. So one of those things that I really focus on is getting excited about what it is that I want. What are my wants? What are my needs for right now and in the future? Not necessarily because of things that are going to be happening, but because of things that I just want to have happen. Having those creative juices constantly flowing and that excitement of possibility, I think, is super important for us to have all the time. So really focusing on that. And then being honest with ourselves about whether or not they are healthier for us. Are they healthy things, or are they a little toxic? Do they help us, or do they hinder us? Do they work for us, or do they work against us? Chances are a lot of the goals or resolutions that we have are positive and they do work for us and they are healthy. But for me, I just think it's always a good option, or step to take, just to check ourselves, check our intentions, and just make sure that whatever it is that we're going to be putting our focus and time and energy and emotions into is actually good for us. And then also being honest with ourselves about possible roadblocks or challenges. Now, I'm not trying to bring all this up to like crush excitement at all. For me, it actually helps me to start out with a stronger foundation if I am prepared, like what we talked about, just internally or written down or spoken or whatever, to just prepare for possible roadblocks, because I would much rather have that lack of excitement or that hit to the excitement right up front than later on down the road, where it's a huge surprise, I wasn't expecting it, and I end up giving up on my goals because I wasn't prepared. And also acknowledging and being honest with ourselves about what needs to occur for us to reach those goals, despite whatever roadblocks may occur. So it just helps us set ourselves up for success, not just with our goals, but internally too. Because when our brain understands the dangers that may be coming, it almost strips that power away from those potential roadblocks a little bit, because they're not as surprising, and our brain, and therefore ourselves, isn't as tense waiting for those things to happen, because we've acknowledged that they may happen, and hopefully we've also acknowledged some ways where we still win despite those roadblocks that may end up happening. I focus on dropping that pressure. So I try to do that ahead of time and throughout the journey of reaching that goal. If you watched that previous video of don't should all over yourself, and under pressure, if you haven't seen those, I'll link those below too. But pressure can absolutely crush sustainability, energy, excitement, focus. It can absolutely, as you probably know, be extremely detrimental to us feeling good and for us reaching and achieving our goals. So just focusing on dropping that pressure. For me personally, pressure is sort of a habit. It's a coping skill that I didn't realize had become a coping skill for me in sort of a negative way. Pressure isn't always bad, but when it starts to get in the way, and when we start to use the negative feelings of pressure to achieve goals or to succeed in certain ways, that, in my opinion, can sort of hurt us and work against us and hinder us, like we talked about a few seconds ago. So just being mindful of that and wondering to yourself, is the pressure that I'm under right now or that I may feel in the future about this going to help me or hinder me? And how can I adjust as I go to where perhaps I still feel that pressure, but it's not actually getting in my way? Increasing or decreasing our structured approach. For me, sometimes it helps to have more structure. Sometimes it actually hinders me to have more structure because I tend to become very focused on the rules or the structure instead of the overall idea of the goal. And that can change from moment to moment, from day to day. So again, adjusting as you go, and just realizing that, life can get in the way. As we all know, and adjusting as we go, especially when it comes to that structured or less structured approach, can absolutely help us have more sustainability in the long run, because a lot of our goals and a lot of our New Year's resolutions are long-term plans. Be imperfect. I've mentioned a few times on this channel that I am a recovering perfectionist, and one of the reasons is because with my trauma and the PTSD, perfection, without even realizing it, had become sort of a coping skill for me. That was, of course, hindering me because no one's ever perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. But I think it was a focused distraction for me that really helped me channel a lot of the things that I was feeling. But what it was actually leading me towards was failure, right? And I think because control also has to do with trying to be perfect, especially when you've been through a lot of trauma, or you're going through trauma or negativity, or you just feel out of control with your situations. Trying to be perfect, and I still have that problem, can absolutely trip us up because it's a distraction and it's unattainable. And so actively trying to not be perfect has actually helped me. It drops that pressure that we talked about. It helps me to go with the flow, the ebbs and flows of life, the ups and downs. It's helped me to not be so focused and tunnel visioned, but to actually think more outside of myself, and more outside of the boxes. So if we go towards our goals, especially in this new year, and just living in general, with this idea of it's okay to be imperfect. In fact, it's safer in a lot of ways to not strive for perfection. That can actually help us as well. The thing that I really try to do every single day, especially when it comes to goals and all that stuff, is to try to have a sustainable approach that not only works with me, but for me. And so whatever that means for me, and again, it can change from day to day, moment to moment, but always trying to focus on being sustainable and whatever I need to do to feel sustainable, not just in life, but with my goals, and to make sure that as much as I can, feeling good and feeling motivated about those goals and about my approach to those goals. This month of January, I'm actually dedicating a lot of the segments that we're going to be talking about or having Well, whenever we meet up this month, a lot of that focus is going to be on setting ourselves up for success this year. That way we start off on a great footing. If you follow me on Instagram, if not, feel free to head on over there and follow me. I am going to be posting today my New Year's ritual that I do every New Year's Eve. You can do it anytime throughout the year, but this is a New Year's Eve ritual that I do every year for the past 3 years. And I have seen such a huge improvement throughout the year. I wanted to do a video about it, but it's the holidays and I just didn't have the time. So hopefully in the future I will do a video about it, but it's a little ritual that I tend to do, and so hopefully that can help you as well. And lastly, I know that 2020 sucked. Of course it did. Everybody knows that it sucked. At least I'm pretty sure everyone knows that it sucked. And I know that a lot of us want to run away from it. In my opinion, and this is just the last thing that I want to say, I'm not going to be running from 2020 because, again, it's just a day, right? Yesterday and tomorrow and today and all that stuff, they're just days. What I want to do is bring the lessons that 2020 taught me and the good that came out of 2020 with me into the new year. And that is something that I cover a little bit in that Instagram post that I just told you about. My brain is getting soupy. But that's something that I try and do every single year. And that's something that I'm going to be doing this year as well, is taking stock of 2020 and sort of using the good stuff, the marrow of 2020 to help prepare me for 2021, because there's going to be a lot of changes this year. And it's going to possibly be another year of confusion and unknown. And I don't want to just plunge into it. I want to be prepared, and I want to take and use 2020 for what it was, because it wasn't a total waste. It gave us something. And I want to take that with me into the next year to help me prepare myself for the next year and to feel good and to rise higher and go further and have more of what I feel success is to me. And happiness and balance, I'm going to use that. So I encourage us all to do that as well. Okay, thank you so much for hanging out with me this year. It's been such a crazy year, right? And I started this channel in, April, I think. I don't even remember. It was something that I had been thinking about for a really long time, and the pandemic, and sharing what works for me in hopes that it can work for you too was the deciding factor for me to actually start this channel. And I thank you so much, even if this is the first video you're watching. Thank you so much for being here on the journey with me. I truly appreciate your presence, and I hope that this channel and what I have shared helped you have a better 2020 and will help you have an even better 2021. So I will see you guys next year. Thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year's Eve. Enjoy it, soak it up, let it feel good. You deserve it, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye!